I witnessed a brutal rejection at a minor league baseball game. The guy arranged for the mascot to bring out the ring during the seventh inning stretch. The camera was on them, projected on the giant screen for the whole stadium. He got down on one knee, beaming. The girl looked absolutely mortified. She didn't just say no. She stood up, covered her face with her jacket, and literally sprinted up the stadium stairs to the exit. The guy was left kneeling there, while the mascot awkwardly patted his shoulder. The silence in the stadium was deafening. My cousin tried to propose to his girlfriend at her own graduation party. It was supposed to be her big day celebrating her master's degree. He tapped the glass to make a toast, gave a speech about how smart she was, and then pulled out a ring. She immediately started crying, but not happy tears. She yelled at him, "Can you let me have one day that is actually about me?" She threw the ring box back at him and went to her room. They broke up for good 2 days later because he was too narcissistic. I work at a high-end restaurant and saw a proposal go south fast. The guy had the ring hidden in a chocolate soufflé. The waiter brought it out, the guy got on one knee, and the music changed to a romantic ballad. The girl looked at the ring in the cake, looked at him, and said quite loudly, "I told you specifically that I never wanted a public proposal. You never listen to a word I say." She picked up her purse, didn't even eat the dessert, and walked out the front door, leaving him with the bill. There was a flash mob proposal at the local park where I walked my dog. About 20 dancers started performing to Bruno Mars. The guy jumped out at the end with flowers and a ring. It was incredibly choreographed. The girl stood there with her arms crossed the entire time. When the music stopped and he asked the question, she simply said, "This is incredibly embarrassing. We've been dating for 3 months. Are you insane?" She walked away, and the dancers just awkwardly dispersed. I was on a flight to Hawaii, and the pilot came over the intercom. He announced that a passenger in 14B had a special question for the lady in 14C. The flight attendants brought champagne. The woman in 14C turned bright red. She pressed the call button frantically and told the flight attendant, "Please make him stop. I am not going to marry him." The guy in 14B spent the remaining 5 hours of the flight sitting next to her in total silence while the rest of the plane pretended not to notice. A guy decided to propose in the middle of a very crowded gym during peak hours. He stopped his workout, walked over to the squat rack where his girlfriend was lifting, and knelt down right there among the weights. She racked the weight, took out her earbuds, and looked at him like he was an alien. She said, "I am sweaty. I have no makeup on, and I am in the middle of a set. This is the worst timing imaginable. The answer is no." She put her earbuds back in and continued her squats. I saw a proposal happen at a funeral. Yes, a literal funeral. It was for the girl's grandmother. The boyfriend thought it would be poignant to show that life goes on. He proposed at the reception afterwards. The girl looked at him with pure hatred. She slapped him across the face, a loud, crisp slap that silenced the room, and screamed, "My grandma is in a box in the other room! Get out!" Her dad literally chased the guy to his car. My friend tried to propose to his girlfriend on a boat trip. He thought it would be romantic to do it on the bow of the ship, like in the movie Titanic. He pulled the ring out, but the water was choppy and he stumbled. The girl didn't reject him immediately because of the ring. She rejected him because he dropped the ring into the ocean. She watched it sink and said, "That was a sign from God. We clearly aren't meant to be." She refused to let him buy a replacement and ended things. I was at a karaoke bar where a guy sang "I Will Always Love You" very poorly. At the end of the song, he called his girlfriend up to the stage. He was clearly very drunk. He slurred his proposal into the mic. She took the microphone from his hand and addressed the crowd. "He's drunk, he doesn't have a job, and he's sleeping on my couch. I am not marrying him." She helped him off stage, but the second-hand embarrassment was lethal. A guy proposed to his girlfriend at Disney World right in front of Cinderella's castle. It's a classic spot, usually very sweet. A cast member was even taking photos. The girl burst into tears, but she was shaking her head. She sobbed, "I slept with your brother last week. I can't do this." The crowd around them, who had started clapping, slowly stopped and just stared. The guy dropped the ring in shock and just walked away into the crowd. I work at a jewelry store. A guy brought his girlfriend in to look at watches, but then surprised her by having us bring out a tray with a diamond ring on it. He got down on one knee right in the showroom. She looked at the ring, then looked at the price tag, which was visible. She scoffed and said, "You expect me to wear a $2,000 ring? My sister's ring was $10,000. Try again when you have real money." She walked out. We all felt so bad for the guy. I was at a concert for a pretty heavy metal band. Between songs, the lead singer let a guy come on stage to propose. The crowd was cheering, getting ready for a sweet moment. The girl got on stage, took the mic and said, "You literally punched a hole in my drywall this morning because you couldn't find your vape. No!" The crowd actually cheered louder for her rejection than they did for the proposal. My neighbour decided to propose on Christmas morning in front of her entire extended family. He wrapped the ring box inside 10 other boxes, so she had to unwrap them all. When she got to the ring, she looked disappointed. She said, "I thought this was the keys to a new car. I told you I needed a car for work." The family went silent. He tried to put the ring on her finger, and she pulled her hand away and asked if the receipt was in the box. I saw a guy propose at a finish line of a marathon. The girl had just run 26.2 miles. She was exhausted, covered in sweat, and clearly about to throw up. He jumped over the barrier and knelt in front of her. She looked at him, vomited on his shoes, and then wheezed out, "Move, I need water." He tried to ask again while she was wiping her mouth, and she just pushed him into the fence and limped away to the medical tent. A guy tried to propose using a scavenger hunt that took his girlfriend all over the city. It lasted for about 6 hours on a Saturday. By the time she got to the final location, she was tired, hungry, and annoyed. When he popped out with the ring, she snapped, "You wasted my entire day off for this. I am hungry, and my feet hurt. I don't want to marry someone who thinks this is fun." She called an Uber and went home alone. I was at a crowded beach, and a plane flew over with a banner that said, "Jessica, will you marry me, Tom?" Everyone on the beach started looking around for a Jessica and Tom. A guy near us stood up and pointed at the banner, looking at the girl next to him. She didn't even look up from her book. She just said, "My name is Jennifer, you idiot. You've been dating me for 2 years." It turned out he actually got her name wrong on the banner order. She broke up with him on the sand. I witnessed a prank proposal that went wrong. The guy was a YouTuber. He proposed, she cried happy tears and said yes, and then he shouted, "It's just a prank," expecting her to laugh. She went stone cold. She stared at him and said, "Okay, well here is my prank, I'm moving out." He tried to tell her he had a real ring in his pocket and that the prank was just the intro, but she wouldn't listen. She left him there with his camera crew recording the whole thing. My co-worker proposed to another co-worker in the middle of a serious quarterly budget meeting. The CEO was there. He stood up and made a speech about how their love was the best asset the company had. The girl turned beet red. She hissed, "This is incredibly unprofessional. We are at work. Sit down." The CEO actually had to intervene and tell them to take it outside. She came back into the room alone 5 minutes later, and he was fired the next week. A guy proposed inside a fancy shopping mall by dropping a banner from the second-floor railing while she was on the first floor. It unrolled, and a bunch of rose petals fell down. The petals landed in a lady's coffee, spilling it all over the girlfriend's white coat. She looked up, saw him grinning, and yelled, "You ruined my coat! Are you stupid?" She spent the next 10 minutes trying to clean the stain while he stood awkwardly on the escalator coming down. I saw a guy propose on the jumbotron at a basketball game, but the camera operator zoomed in on the wrong couple. The guy on screen looked confused and the girl on screen looked disgusted. Meanwhile, the real guy was kneeling 2 rows down, but his girlfriend was too busy laughing at the awkward people on the screen to notice him. When she finally saw him, the moment was ruined. She told him, "You made a joke out of us. No thanks." At a university lecture hall, a student walked to the front of the class to propose to his girlfriend, who was also a student. The professor stopped teaching to let it happen. The girl stood up, packed her bag and said, "We hooked up twice. I don't even know your last name." The entire lecture hall erupted in laughter. The guy had to gather his things and leave the class because the humiliation was too much. I was at a frantic Black Friday sale. People were fighting over TVs. A guy decided this chaos was the perfect time to propose to his girlfriend in the electronics aisle. She was holding a discounted 4K TV. He knelt down. She looked at him and said, "If I put this TV down to hug you, someone is going to steal it. Get up and help me carry this to the register." He stayed on the floor and she literally stepped over him to get to the checkout line. A guy proposed to his girlfriend at a fast food drive-thru speaker. He ordered a McMarry Me meal. The worker on the speaker was confused and the girlfriend was mortified. She leaned over and shouted into the speaker, "Just a number 1, please, ignore him." Then she turned to him in the driver's seat and said, "If you think I'm telling our grandkids we got engaged at a drive-thru, you are delusional." She made him drive home in silence. My friend proposed to his girlfriend by putting the ring in a glass of champagne, but she didn't see it. She took a huge gulp and started choking. We had to perform the Heimlich maneuver on her. She spit the ring out across the table. Once she caught her breath, she screamed, "You almost killed me! Are you trying to murder me?" She was too traumatized to even consider the proposal and left the restaurant shaking. I saw a guy propose on a crowded subway train during rush hour. He got down on one knee, but the train lurched and he fell into a stranger's lap. When he finally got steady and asked the girl, she looked around at the sweaty, angry commuters and said, "We are standing in a metal tube underground, smelling like armpits. This is not romantic. Get up." She got off at the next stop without him. A guy tried to propose to his girlfriend at her twin sister's wedding. He did it right after the sister threw the bouquet. He caught it and turned to his girlfriend. The bride, the twin, tackled him. Literally tackled him. The girlfriend stood over him and said, "You just tried to steal my sister's spotlight on the most expensive day of her life. You are selfish." The groomsmen dragged him out of the reception hall. I was at a comedy club where the comedian was roasting people. A guy stood up and interrupted the set to propose. The comedian started making fun of him immediately. The girlfriend was laughing so hard at the comedian's jokes about her boyfriend's bad haircut and cheap suit that she couldn't answer. Eventually, she wiped tears from her eyes and said, "He's right. You are kind of a loser. No." A guy hired a skywriter to write "Marry Me Lisa" in the sky. He took his girlfriend to the beach to see it. She looked up, squinted and said, "Who is Lisa?" He panicked and realized he told the company the wrong name or they messed up. He tried to say it was a nickname. She said, "My name is Amanda. You are cheating on me with a Lisa, aren't you?" She dumped him right there on the boardwalk. I saw a proposal at an aquarium in the shark tunnel. A diver swam by, holding a sign that said, "Will you marry me?" The girl was looking at a turtle and missed it. The boyfriend kept banging on the glass to get her attention. She got annoyed and said, "Stop hitting the glass, you're scaring the fish." When she finally saw the sign, the diver was already swimming away. She just shrugged and said, "That was pathetic."